aboard to another update video. It's ridiculous the number of update videos I've had to do lately, and hopefully today's the day where I finally change that and turn things back around and get back into the swing of things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first and foremost, I want to clear this out of the way first. I have never lost my love for trains. Trains have always been a part of my life ever since I was little, and it will always forever be a part of my life no matter what. But of course, there's always going to be things in your life that pop up and prevent you from being able to do what you love doing, and that's definitely what has been going on for the past couple of years. Now, when I graduated high school in 2022, you would think that I would have plenty of time to do what I love doing during the summer, and it very much seemed that way. That I was going to be able to do what I love doing, which is doing rail fanning or model trains or anything train related on this channel, and that was what I was planning to do. But of course, life isn't perfect, and there's always going to be something in the way that prevents you from being able to do what you love doing. Um, and one of those big things that got in the way ever since I graduated high school was family. Now, let's get this straight. My family is, or when I mean family getting in the way, I don't mean that they're preventing me from, or like they're purposely trying to prevent me from doing from what I love doing, because they, enjoy my love for trains. We do a lot of things, open and doing a lot of things that are train related, and that still has not changed to this day. But when I mean by family things getting in the way, I mean by family issues, whether it's health related or simply we have a busy schedule. And that's definitely been a problem these last few years, to say the least, and you know, especially ever since I graduated high school. Family health was one of the biggest reasons why I wasn't able to do what I love doing. Um, when I graduated high school, my grandfather um, was was severely diagnosed with dementia. If you don't know what dementia is, it's essentially where you forget how to do things, and not only forget how to do things, but you forget about the ones you love. And my grandfather was already dealing with liver problems, and that certainly sped up the dementia problems. And day by day, he would get worse and worse. And it got to the point that where he didn't know how to do things and forget who forget about the ones who you love, and we would have to look after him 24/7. And what I mean by basically looking after him 24/7, that's basically staying home, you know, majority of the week unless I have something going on. But essentially, somebody had to be looking after him basically 24/7, because if you don't know what happens when you have dementia, it can not only lead to not only not remembering how to do things or the ones that you love, but also can lead to him leaving the house without us knowing, and not knowing where he's gonna go, because that's just the type of thing that happens when you have dementia. Is not only do you forget things, but also you end up wandering off without people knowing, and you end up getting lost, and it leads to a lot more greater problems. um but yeah, and essentially at the end of the day, we had to look after him essentially 24/7, which involved me having to basically be staying home ever since I graduated high school. I had to, I wasn't able to, only were we having to look after him basically 24/7, and I had to miss college for the past couple of years, and because of having to deal with family health, but also, we're also struggling financially. And so, with the number of these problems, it really was, tough to try to, balance trying to do what I love doing without these things getting in the way. And that was something that we've had to deal with for over 2 years, until last year of 2024. And that's when things started to change dramatically. It got to the point where the dementia got really bad that we had to take my grandfather to the hospital. And little did we know, this was when things were gonna change dramatically. And it got to the point, like I said, where the dementia got really bad that we had to take him to the hospital, and this involved, my family having to go to the hospital every single day to look after him and everything. And it got to the point where um, every day when he was at the hospital, his health was rapidly getting worse and worse, and it got to the point where we had to put him in hospice care. And about a few days into hospice, my grandfather passed away. And it was, of course, the day that he passed. But at the end of the day, this was the best for him, because he was, so between the liver problems and the dementia, he was suffering, and we know that he's not suffering anymore, and he's in a much better place. Obviously, this was, rough getting past this. This was a rough situation to get through for our family for the first couple months, and knowing that he is gone. And you know with the number of days and months that we've had to look after him essentially 24/7, we definitely needed to recover, not only with mourning the loss of my grandfather, but also recovering from the number of things that we had to go through while we were taking care of him and everything else. It was just a rough couple months of the first rough it was just a rough first couple months into 2024. And that was only the beginning of what's to come, as we still were continuing to struggle financially. And but also, while we weren't having to look after our grandfather anymore, we still had a very busy schedule ahead of us, whether it was volunteer work or anything else that we had going on. More and more stuff continued to get in my way from being able to do what I love doing. And that's why, you know, I have not been able to do any videos for the last 2 years. It's simply because of, my grandfather and having to take care of him, and the financial issues, and the number of things that we have on our plate schedule wise, week after week. And it's absolutely been tough, to say the least. But I think it's safe to say, well, at this point, um, as we're now in the summer of, or leading into the summer of 2025, I think it's I think believe it's now time that I'm finally back, and or we can finally get back into having more time to be able to do what I love doing. Um, because not only are we starting to gain financially again, um, but also, we have less stuff going on our plate. So hopefully, this is the beginning of where I can get back into the swing of things, doing videos for you guys. And hopefully, this is the time and hopefully it lasts, and it doesn't just last a few couple of days before I have to take another break again. And we will be having to do another update video again. So hopefully that's not the case, and that doesn't happen once again, and we can finally get back into the swing of things. So that's why I basically have to say, I know it was I kind of wanted to be more into detail, but I don't want to bore you with the number of things that have been going on. It's just simply that, we've had to take care of my grandparents, specifically my grandfather, for the last couple of years. And of course, um, mourning the loss of him, and having to regain, you know, recover from not only losing him, but also regaining, you know, our lives again. Because, basically most of our lives was, having to look after him. And it was just, looking back at it, it's just ridiculous that how we were able to get out, how we were able to make out of that situation. And it, it's just a crazy situation, to say the least. It really is at a loss for words, trying to explain how crazy that situation was. But at the end of the day, we're grateful that he's in a much better place and he's not suffering anymore. So, without further ado, let's move on for what's next for this channel. Now, essentially, what has happened since the last time I left you, not much has exactly changed in terms of what the format of this channel is going to be. Um, we're essentially going to keep doing the same things that we're essentially going to keep the flow going of what we were doing beforehand. And that's, of course, doing model train related stuff and rail fanning stuff. I think, for this year, I think I am gonna be focusing more on rail fanning um, because it's definitely easier to do, to say the least, than doing model train videos, especially if I'm doing model train reviews. These things take a long time, and that's why a lot of these review videos that I do are over 30 minutes to an hour, going over a lot of stuff and going over history and all this stuff. So I think I'm gonna focus more on rail fanning this year, but we'll see. You never know what can happen. I might balance it out, and we'll see. But also, I've been thinking about a new thing to start for this channel as well, and that is, well, where I basically am, and this is, the last update video was in the same exact place. Um, but things have definitely changed quite a bit since that last video. Um, and in terms of my in terms of my office, I've been able to learn how to do things better, especially computer wise. And I've been thinking about starting off or doing a new show where I would basically discuss anything train related. And I've been thinking about calling it the Train Talk Show with Jonah Rivera. I know it's very simple and boring, but I like it. I mean, it proves the point. And what I have planned for talking about, in these episodes is essentially anything train related, anything real life train related, like whether it's something about a specific railroad or anything about a specific engine or anything, anything train related, and any suggestions that you have, I'm willing to do. It's essentially I can do these episodes talking about anything train related and speak anything off the top of my mind about that specific topic and whatever. So I'm thinking about doing another. It's not exactly going to be a podcast. It's basically just going to be, just a literal talk show where I just talk about certain train topics, whether it's about a specific railroad or anything, or this, just anything that's train related that's going on that you want me to discuss about. I'll we'll see how this goes, but I've not another plan that I have going forward. So I there's not really much to discuss about with what's next for this channel, because I'm essentially gonna keep things how they were before. I'm gonna keep doing rail fanning videos. I'm gonna keep doing model train videos. Most probably more rail fanning videos because those are more easier to do than model trains. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna do any more model train videos. I'm still gonna be doing model train videos. Just I think I'm gonna have more fun doing more rail fanning videos than model trains. But you never know. I might like doing one thing more, or might end up liking doing model train videos more than doing rail fanning. We'll see. So that's essentially what I have planned. I am excited for what I have planned for this year. I hope that we can keep this going, and I don't have anything pop up that prevents me from being able to from what I love doing. Um, we'll just see how this goes. We have quite a few exciting events coming up in Illinois that I'm excited for. Obviously, this upcoming June, there's of course Railroad Days, which I'm very excited to do, and you know do a lot of rail fanning there, as well as taking pictures and so forth. Um, this upcoming July, of course, one of the most famous events at the Illinois Railroad Museum is, of course, Day Out with Thomas, which I'm also going to. So there's a lot of, fun events that we have coming up that I plan on doing videos on, and as well as, of course, doing normal rail fanning videos that are right by my house. I've already done a couple more, or I've already done a couple rail fanning videos already at my house already. That's even another topic that I can talk about. How it's like living next to a railroad and so forth. And, that's already a video I have planned, but um, before that talk show, and also talking about specific engines and so forth. We'll see how that leads into, or what topics I can get out of doing this talk show and so forth. But yeah, so we have a lot of exciting stuff to come. We'll keep doing I don't really plan on changing the format anytime soon. Keeping the rail fanning videos going, keeping the model train videos going, and also bringing in something new that I think it will be an exciting thing to do. Doing this in a talk show, we'll see how that goes. So there is some pretty exciting events coming up soon, and I hope to do videos on those. And we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how the train talk show goes, and everything else throughout the rest of the year. So we'll see what happens. But with that being said, that's gonna do it for today's update video. I didn't want to keep this going for too long. That's why I kind of wanted to summarize what was going on, because basically the gist of what's been going on over the last few years is just been a lot of family issues and being busy with so many things non-train related that's kept me from being able to do what I love doing. That's doing this channel. So with that being said, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this is the beginning of getting back into the swing of things and not getting caught up with something again and being away for a few years and then doing another update video once again. Hopefully this is finally the time where I can finally get back into the swing of things and doing what I love doing. So with that being said, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll get back into the swing of things. I'll probably the next couple videos to come is a lot of real fanning videos, because as the weather is getting nice again and I can go outside, definitely I can definitely say for sure is winter, through late fall to early winter is definitely the time to do model train videos, and then spring through summer and early fall is definitely the time where you can do rail fanning videos. And then when it gets too cold, that's obviously when it's going to prevent me from doing rail fanning videos, and that's when I have to do a lot of things indoors. So we'll see how this goes. But with that being said, thank you guys for joining today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can notify the next time I upload. So with that being said, thank you for joining for today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next video of whatever I make. See you guys next time.